Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary, and I wanted to come on to give you a shout out. Look at my face, looking all sleepy, but I'm well rested. I've been taking some really good rest, which is really important because you can be eating all these live foods and doing all this exercise, but rest. Your body needs a chance to rejuvenate and to be able to suck up and use and digest and pass out waste, right? So a lot of that is done during sleep. So I wanted to come on and touch base with all of you. So hopefully you have your water in a wine glass or your tea or your bitters. And I wanted to come on and touch base. So it's been a little bit of a minute. So today what I wanted to check in and I wanted to explore and I wanted to share. And by the way, anything that I say or share is just one woman's experience. If it doesn't resonate, respectfully, I leave it right chat, right? So you're always welcome to comment respectfully in the comment section. So something today that I wanted to touch on is scarves and bonnets. So I'm one of those folks, one of those human flowers that has very, very fine, delicate Afro textured hair. I just gave it a little bit of a cut. Again, I didn't cut it all off, but I very well could. I'm not totally attached to it. And I know how to rock a short peach fuzz, which is a blessing. I feel very confident in that regard. But I did give it a cut because there was some areas. My hair is so delicate. There were some areas that were hanging on. And before 2 cuts ago, I had repaired. I looked at on YouTube to look at different ways to repair locks because I do want to enjoy the quote unquote length. Greetings. So I repaired them. I looked at all these different types of ways that people are repairing their locks, and I realized certain things are not for me. Too much work. I love grooming and taking really good care of myself and my body temple and my mind, but I find it too much of an irritation. So I found some thread that would look pretty close to this thread, and I had just repaired the areas where I had put on so many shells, and I love beads and shells, but over time you realize what's for you and what's not for you, right? So although I like to play and dress up, my preference is my own skin, and my hair also constantly keeps communicating that it doesn't, my body just does not like to be messed with. My body does not like processed foods, soda, forget about it. Flesh doesn't appear to me. I'm a professional chef and a personal trainer, love to eat, but I'm very clear that certain things that just don't work for me. So you'll have to find your own journey. I'm more attached to results than I am to labels. For those of you folks that have never been to this channel before, welcome. This channel is Body-Culinary. On some other social media like TikTok, I'm Kwasa with a K, peaceful, like you're full your belly. For peaceful eating. And so what I share on my channel is my journey, my many years journey of what I call radical self-acceptance, really standing firm in embracing, like there's so much coming at me from social media, embracing how I popped out onto this 3D plane with this type of hair. It's very delicate, it's fragile, and also just doesn't like to be messed with. So embracing styles and things that work for me and rescuing and salvaging my esteem and my comfort and relaxation from all the folks trying to peddle products to me. So also on this channel, I encourage folks to start a garden, whether you are in a small space, you're in a home, wherever you are paying rent and mortgage for so many reasons. And throughout the many years that I've been doing fitness and personal training, I encourage people, I'm the trainer that's always talking to folks about growing a garden, herbs, flowers, whatever it is, sprouts, grow something for many more reasons than you can even imagine. So we have our garden. And then the other thing, whole living fresh foods. I call them foods with living water, right? You're a living being, right? With most of your body is what? Water. So I encourage folks to consume things that have lots of living water, right? We're paying for all of these expensive products but not considering our bodies are dried out and stagnant and the circulation is lacking because we're not consuming foods with lots of living water. If you've ever seen a stagnant pond or a stagnant body of water, it has a lot of mosquitoes and pond scum and different things on it. So bacteria can flourish there, and lots of different types of cells can genetically express themselves when they're being bathed in old fluids, substances like, I call them substances masquerading as food, artificial colors, chemicals, soda pop. These things are very, very acidic. And sometimes people are focusing so much on buying all of these different cleansing packets. And I'm saying this as someone that worked in a holistic health center for years. And just what I have seen also working in the fitness field for years, when I see people's complaints and their sufferation, it has made me very, very crystal clear on consuming for longevity, vitality, for my mood, as well as beauty. So I encourage folks to cultivate also a personal movement practice, right? That could be definitely things that you enjoy, but also balancing that out. You know, we would say cardio, flexibility, strength, all of those things, not just for what you look like, that's just a benefit, but they're your 401k, right? We're so focused on the external 401k. If you're working and investing in your education 10, 12 years, and you've got every bag and more clothes, there are only 365 days in a year. So many of us have more than 365 articles of clothing, but we're not giving the same consideration to our body temples, and we're being encouraged to, like in the snap of a finger, just start cutting off and altering body parts, which can leave us looking very plasticky. And now we're seeing with lots of folks on YouTube, young women, very young women coming forth to share about their experience of breast implant illness. Many women's bodies are rejecting the silicone and the different things being put in there. Now it's being more known that a lot of the things that are being injected, they drop. They don't last forever. So this stuff is not tested. So I think perhaps in your 20s or 30s, or just in a space of desperation, we're not thinking long term, and that can even apply to our food and the things we're taking in, and even to our hair. If we look at a lot of us, you know, as women, as flowers out here, you know, a lot of us are doing all types of tattoos. Now, I am not here to demonize anyone's practices. I'm not the food police or the hair police. I'm just sharing one woman's perspective. But if you think about it, you know, we're tweezing and messing with our hair to such an extent, right? I know I've had too tight braids before. I have had scalp burns from perms. I've had, you know, ears singed from hot combs. And where it's from a space I observe of anxiety to make ourselves look like something, that we wind up causing permanent damage to these divinely assigned body parts. And I am not against expression. You know, maybe if certain things weren't harmful, I might want to express with certain things, right? And colored hair and all of this. But I also, my foundation for me is really being able to sit in a relaxation of what I've got, right? And finding things that are hairstyles and forms of expression that preserve my health and my vitality. Health for me is my number one beauty product. It's my number one beauty product. And I want to hold on to the way health is also how I feel about myself, into the different transformations I'm going to go into in life, even with the best care. And I like whole, fresh living, unprocessed foods as my lifestyle has been for many years. I'm also looking as a fitness coach and a trainer, my performance, my mood, my elimination, my body odor or lack of, the changes in my body temperature. I'm very well aware that as a feminine presence, there are changes of life that I will go through. Through more research, I found out that men also go through, and many men may not know this, go through many similar changes when a good proportion of men experience prostate cancer. And many of us are so busy looking at these music videos and popular culture that encourage us to consume indiscriminately, and to take all different types of things indiscriminately into our body, we're very naive, maybe, and also in a denial. Um, we're not looking at the long-term consequences of our consumption patterns. So sufferation is real. To work hard for so many years, I don't know if there's that much exercise and that much surgery we can do to run away from who we are and how we have preserved or taken care of our body temple. So all that in a nutshell, I encourage cultivate a personal movement practice, because it does so much for you in terms of, it's so therapeutic mentally and emotionally. Cultivate and start a garden, whatever your space, big or small, and to consume peacefully, what I'll call peaceful consumption, or at least the least harm possible. First, the foundation is your thinking and reasoning process. Why are you consuming what you're consuming? Now, you don't need to tell me, because I'm not there with you in your private, quiet moments. It's for us to become more aware, and in a very practical sense, are you even thinking about what you're doing and what you're allowing to come into all of your orifices and your reproductive organs? A lot of us, if we were to really just pay attention, are consuming without a level of awareness, and a state of what I will call, I have my own way of processing. I call it triggeration, right? When you're triggered to react without thinking, to eat without thinking. Even this screen, I've taken a step back from social media, because human being, I'm affected. We are affected. It's a science. People think, oh, Illuminati, and we get all spookajuk, but a lot of this stuff is real practical science and understanding how the human psyche works, right? I've recommended to folks before to look up the 6 basic human fears. So if you have water in a wine glass, I don't tell grown folks what to do, but I do encourage the drinking of water. If you want beauty and longevity and mood, how can we expect these beautiful, expressive, pain-free bodies without investing in the first ultimate 401k, which is your divinely assigned body temple? So that being said, today I wanted to touch in on scarves and bonnets, right? And if, as you can see, my semi-freeform, what I will call, some people say semi-freeform locks, right? I do absolutely no twisting. They started out years ago with with double strand twists, and I don't do anything. My hair is very thin and fine, so thin and fine. I may have 38 locks, and they're not big bungle cot. Look at all these locks. It's like most of my locks, and it's still not full in this one circle. So it is what it is, and most of them are completely flat. So I've embraced them. They're light and fluffy like carpet, and this works for me. It also provides a lot of relaxation. So now, in terms of styling and what I was touching on with social media, sometimes scrolling through social media, it's subtle. I invite you to listen to your emotions, and I really encourage a lot of relaxation and listening. There's a whole series on this channel of relaxation videos. And when I say relaxation, you can be scrolling through social media, and perhaps women can relate to this. You'll be scrolling, you'll see the latest products, and you think, oh God, you don't even notice. It's so subtle that anxiety starts to come up for you. Then next thing you know, you want to start slicking down your edges. Let me try. We're thinking, I'm going to try this style and I'm going to try that style. That's not the issue. But I noticed the subtleties of anxiety creeping in, where you start to feel like, wow, this person is more attractive. I need to slick this down. And next thing you know, we come away, we get a mirror, we put it right to the side of the computer, or we may have our computer set up at the vanity. Next thing you know, we've got our hair in styles that are too tight. Too tight styles will take your hairline away. I would not have a hairline continuing certain practices. Again, my hair is delicate, doesn't like to be messed with. And also my hair, it hurts. It hurts. It's like wearing shoes that feel like they got pit bulls on my toes. They hurt. And we're moving at such a pace. We're causing harm to the body, making ourselves very uncomfortable, because that is the climate out here of social media. And it's too much. I say no. So we may be wearing scarves that are too tight, and all sorts of stuff. So today I have like a bonnet. And no, I'm not wearing bonnets outside. And sometimes bonnets can give you like a little line over here. If you're not careful, and again, if you have very delicate hair, as I do, they can perhaps even pulling them too tight can cause alopecia, right? And sometimes with this very kinky hair and the effort, this deep programming to get rid of this and not to embrace this, you know, the temptation to pack a whole bunch of styling gel onto here to make it look like something else. Now, let me be very clear. I see some baby hair that I like. I see some full makeup that I like that's very, very attractive. So I'm not here to tell you that I can appreciate these styles. However, for me, I am protective and I listen to, is there anxiety there? Is there any kind of lack? And it's all of this comparison where I don't feel comfortable. And now I don't feel I'm not appreciating myself and my own package. So these are some things to listen, like listen to your anger, listen to your emotions. Listen, I would even say in your quiet moments to ask how you feel, right? It requires a listening. Ask how you feel questions, if that makes sense. Why? Why might you ask? Well, I could definitely tell you. In my practice as a fitness coach, nutrition coach, and trainer for many, many years, people constantly ask me for more recipes and exercises. And I have observed, I'm an observer of patterns. While those things are very, very helpful in your toolbox, somehow people don't maintain and sustain change because we don't get to the root of our behaviors, right? We don't get to the root of the anxiety. So a lot of foundation of me embracing what I was born with is for relaxation, right? That relaxation will really fuel my behaviors because most of our behaviors are driven by our subconscious, right? Subconscious fears, avoiding experiences, avoiding pain, and wanting to distract ourselves with only pleasure. A lot of this is happening at lightning speed. It's not even a thought process. It's like a direct reflex. So I love to get to the root of what's driving our behaviors, right? Why do we not enjoy moving our bodies? And most people, oh, I hate exercise. So that's not how it occurs to me. It occurs to me as play. So I like to get to the root of how self-care and having fun and taking care of ourselves, how it is occurring to us. So that being said, a lot of us wearing scarves and bonnets is to, it may not be for you. If it's not, some of it is to preserve our hairstyles. And even with that, let's unpack that. If I have to preserve the style, right? First of all, too much pulling up, down, or whatever, it hurts. That right says to me, leave the hair alone. My hair is so fine, it's going to become compact. That's a fact. All of them are going to be flat. So it's almost I'm driving myself. I could potentially be driving myself crazy in a losing battle because the hair is always going to go right back out to what it does, just like my nails are going to come right back to what they are. And fortunately, my skin is staying the same color. I like my color. I like my eyebrows. Actually, the more I look at myself, the more I appreciate. I actually really, really like myself, and I make it an intention to dote on myself. So scarves like this, while I'm not using styling gel, right? And if you perhaps are exploring semi-freeform locks and heavy on the self-care, but light on being very aware of trying to alter myself and be something that I'm not. I think there's a distinction between being creatively expressive and try to cover myself up, run from who I am. That has a feeling and it has an emotion attached to it. So instead of putting on styling gels, my beauty product is filtered water. This is water. And I'm working on growing some flowers inside of the garden along with the vegetables. This is just simply filtered water. So sometimes people will ask me, what do I moisturize my hair with? Water. And sometimes the temptation, it's not so much there now, but it's subtle. Every night I can hear the thoughts of scrolling through social media to get my hair to look like that. I'm probably going to have to oil it because I don't have any oil in my hair. But I know from experience and doing this over and over and over, especially if you have very fine hair, it feels fantastic when you initially put it on. It feels so good. But all of that oil will draw dirt like a magnet, and eventually the hair becomes very stiff. One time my hair got so stiff, and I don't put any chemicals in my hair. It's only been oil, coconut oil, olive oil. That's it. Maybe at one point, castor oil, to slick the edges. So that's all natural oils. But I'll never forget one time, I guess between the oil and the minerals in the water, my hair got so stiff it felt like a Twinkie. And that was the first time I used baking soda in my hair, and it's totally stripped my hair, my poor little precious delicate hair. This is not even a perm, and my hair was totally traumatized. So, sometimes I step back and I'm like, but stop the madness. Stop the madness. What kind of feelings come up when you think of embracing your hair? Do you think that your crown of divinely assigned hair looks just as attractive as other people's hair? Or even if you're not comparing to others, do you feel really comfortable in your skin? And so I'm very protective of that. I like, it's like when I look at it, I was like, I actually like my eyebrows. I actually like my skin color. It's not to say that I will never play in makeup. From time to time I play in mascara, but I like my lips. My lips, eating living foods, my lips don't dry. They don't get dry. That's a benefit. I don't have to put on even all of the natural lip glosses. From time to time, I use a lot of raw cocoa butter and shea butter. I may put that on my lips, but a lot of times it feels heavy and greasy. So because my body's hydrated, I feel like I don't need those things. So I listen and I have my own experience so that I'm not swayed by all these professionals with their companies. I really value feeling comfortable and relaxed in my skin. But even I never take for granted how much we can be affected, right? Our psyche, because we engage so much with these screens. So instead of slicking my hair down with gel, I will moisturize, which is lightly spritzing just with water, right? And so with it will eventually dry, but the dry hair is like a light, fluffy carpet. It's not stiff. It's not hard from hardened oil. Anything I put here, I've even tried jojoba oil. And for those folks, your hair might be so thin and fine that for you initially in washing all of the heavy creams and oils out of your hair, and if you may strip your hair, it may be so stripped. You can see it if it's stripped. It looks almost like you rubbed your hair with Ajax. You might need to take a little bit of jojoba oil and put it inside of a spray bottle with water and to spray your hair initially, right? And then after that, maybe you won't need to anymore. But I don't really need the oil. But that programming I need to do this and I need to do that. As I've shown on this channel, when I wash my hair, it has a sheen to it. It just doesn't look or perform like the other human beings that we share the planet with. Our hair looks a little bit different. So it takes time to see and sit with and discover. Many of us have never seen our own hair and what it can do and what it prefers. So I've learned my hair doesn't lack a whole lot of combing. I initially didn't intend for my hair to lock. It locked on in my travels. After I was like, why am I fighting something that my hair wants to do? And taking a lot of that off the market has been very relaxing. So that being said, I spray my hair down with some water. I might have a little lemongrass, essential oil in there because that's my favorite scent. And I'll simply double a scarf. And this scarf is very sheer, so it's very breathable. And I'll tie it down. So when I tie it down, right, it looks it will smooth my hair out. So that is how I don't have to twist my hair. And I've seen all kinds of different types of locks represented. I really love sister locks. There's no way I'm willing. I think that would drive me bananas to have to sit in a chair. And for me, it is very, very important psychologically and emotionally not to be a slave to my hair, not to be a slave to makeup. There's enough competing for my attention to make me a slave to a product that if I'm traveling and I don't have this particular hair product, I'm going to lose my mind and have to go to, the resort and spend $50 for some conditioner. I'm just not with it. I'd rather be spending my money on the mangoes or maybe going scuba diving or taking a course in some traditional food preparation or some backstrap weaving. That's why I'd rather spend my time in somebody else's garden, learning some new techniques. So it may be different for you what you prioritize. So I've taken a lot of that off the table. So again, this is just water, filtered water. Get yourself a nice filter, and filtered water, and moisturizing with this. It will dry, but the dry is not a brittle. My hair is like soft, fluffy carpet, and it may take a while if that's what you're interested in exploring, and getting used to that. But there are many reasons why I explore this, and the biggest reason is I really, really value being comfortable in my own skin. I'd rather not have to tattoo my eyebrows on. Not knocking anybody that does. I'd rather keep my eyelashes attached to my face. I remember wearing some of the harsh, and some of them were expensive mascaras. When you go to take them off, sometimes your eyelashes are going with them. So there's so much that we're doing, like irritation, like a picking, that we're losing some of our natural features and body parts. So I'd rather focus more on the health. Health is my number one beauty product. And that being said, even with all these healthy habits, something might still happen to you, right? A dis-ease or something. So I decided to take 110% responsibility for my health. So I have a couple of different scarves because I'm in the garden a lot. And so I like cute scarves. I do like looking cute around my house for me. Somebody else likes it. That's cute too. So this one is a little more of a cottony scarf. So this, I have the habit of going out into the garden without covering my hair. And I know that's a no-no. This fine here is a magnet. So if I go outside and I'm cutting with the some of the trees and stuff, there's bound to be some kind of little bug or something, or little pieces of trees and leaves that get caught in my hair. So prevention is better than cure. So if things are cute, I have more of an incentive to put these things on. So these were really inexpensive, and I like it because they're cute and because they're feminine. So I'll tie these on, give it a little cottage core soul, and I'll use these inside of the garden. And I also like these silky scarves. So I am the type of person that can fall asleep without a scarf on my head, and I like that I can do that. But I will say the condition of my hair, it feels different in terms of people say it holds moisture, but it's not. I wouldn't say moisture. I think the condition of your hair not drying it out. I do think that the silky scarves, definitely my hair feels more conditioned, and especially if I'm tying it to lay it down because I'm not using the oil. This can be a benefit. So I never twist my hair, ever, ever, ever. I'm not used to. I took all of that off of the table. So these are just a couple of my scarves. These are long, so I'll let them hang down in the back. So I have this vision of me in my garden or riding on my bicycle with my scarf trailing in the back in the wind with my fruits and vegetables on the handlebars. That's what I like. So I think, again, that I'm very aware, and I make the effort to be conscientiously aware of how, like, my thoughts and how I'm feeling, how that's being affected by social media, or even in women, right? We're constantly comparing ourselves to others. I can't be you. You can't be me. Maybe you have big, thick Congo Nazis. I love Valerie June, but I'm not going to have it. And cutting my hair, again, the stuff that was falling, holding on. I was like, I listened to the mentality of holding on. It occurs as a kind of like a desperation. Now, I like experiencing length. I can go with the short hair, but also just holding on to stuff. I was like, wow, that's a mentality. You're holding on to a couple of inches of hair because it takes your hair a while to grow, but whatever it takes, it takes. If it's fluffy, you may not see it because I'm not twisting, and it's very spongy here. I was like, let it go. Like, there's a freedom to letting stuff go that does not serve you. So chop, chop, chop. I chopped it off, and I could also chop this off, right? So being very bold and questioning fears, right, can really affect our esteem. So, in the effort to what I call people, a lot of folks in working with a trainer or working with fitness, there are many folks out there constantly talking about my stomach, my gut, which really a lot of it is adipose tissue, which is a technical term for fatty tissue, and waste product, extra waste that's on our waist. So I really am big, as you'll notice on this channel, in reframing the narrative. So in my time recently, I've been working on one of my favorite things for many, many years, which is waist beads. So I've been working on all of these different waist beads. So I'm big on adorning your waist. So each one is made what I would call in the spirit, right? As the colors motivate me, because I love pink and I love white, and I'm thinking about the colors and what each one represents. I've been making all these different beautiful waist beads to adorn the waist, and I love sparkle. You know, these are things that are private and intimate, that I don't think that everyone deserves access. I don't think everyone deserves access. Something that's easy access, I think that the value goes down. You know, it's like something at the 99-cent store. We let it fall on the floor. We don't take care of it. But if you have purchased something from Tiffany's, you know, you're more likely to take care of it. And so I observe with women, and definitely with Afro women, you know, I think in our younger years, again, we're not thinking long term. And many of us, because of the climate that we're in, a very volatile, we're moving, we may not even acknowledge how much our mindset is one of lack, fear, and desperation. And so predators pick up on it, marketeers trying to peddle products pick up on it. So there are things in our culture that I think has many solutions to it, right? And so one of them are these sacred waist beads, right? And African waist beads, they do have a tradition. I've been wearing them for many, many years. So all these little special things, so I'm really enjoying, like eating beautiful food is not a diet, right? Eating things that, for me, just go with me here. Eating for beauty, eating for longevity, eating for and consuming, not even just eating, but consuming what we're listening to, the conversations that we're having. Like, you know, I think we're in a common culture what's common to, some people call it trauma bonding. I would call it, you know, using each other as a dumping ground, right? For your problems. We say we need somebody to listen to us, but for your problems, and maybe perhaps without a consideration what other people are going through. You know, sometimes I've done this in the past before, maybe perhaps sharing a piece of information that you think, oh, it's so important that people know what's inside the food they're eating or the flesh. You may not realize that that animal video, animal cruelty might trigger somebody or take them over the edge. So a lot of our movement patterns and the way that we're moving and consuming is very fear based, and that can really trigger certain kinds of mindless behaviors. Definitely, you know, anxiety eating, right? Many of us are focused on or are trying to lose weight, but not really being present to how we're eating from a place of fear, of lack, of anxiety, or using even healthy foods, right? Even a bag of organic chips as our boyfriend or girlfriend to soothe us, like a pacifier. So these are some of the things that I like to uncover and to unpack in the cocoon, which is like some folks that come together in the early wee hours, because I'm an early morning person, for coaching all around living foods, creating a personal movement practice, and reconnecting to nature personally through starting a garden. So those are the types of things that you'll find here. So one of the tools in my toolbox, in addition to my movement practice and to eating beautiful foods, and I do think we can all eat beautiful foods, right? And my eyes always peeled for how to reconnect access to that, because that is a culture that is part of our birthright. You know, I have a vision of over 1 million women with a whole garden full of herbs, where all of us and even our daughters are being raised to understand the medicinal properties in each and every food. That, you know, I can't even help myself with that. Everything I'm putting in my mouth has a medicinal, a healing property, a hydrating property, and everything that's going into my body temple. So that to me is eating for beauty. So you see how that's not the same as just taking a pill, right? So we don't need to demonize anything and constantly put so much focus on what we're against. I prefer to focus on what I am for. So shout outs to Delvin and Lorraine. 5 to my journey, semi-freeform, no more store-bought conditioners. That's a big thing to let go of, is the conditioner. Realize we don't need the conditioners. I wear satin scarves most of the day. My locks are flat and healthy as a result. I have fallen hopelessly in love with flat locks. So that's not something that's really embraced on YouTube. And many of the lock, I don't know if you want to call community, but the content creators, most of the videos are how to get rid of flat locks and how to palm roll them. So again, if you have very delicate, fine hair. I mean, I'm very much a realist. Many women, a lot is fear-based. We may be concerned, am I going to go bald? Am I going to lose my edges? So sometimes in moving out of fear, we start picking and we start doing more tight styles and trying to make our hair look like this and that. And we wind up even bringing more to us that we don't want from that space. So, oh, you have been a great, oh, thank you so much. That's wonderful. To make sure you, what do you call it? Like the video and perhaps share it with someone that might find value. So I think it perhaps can be very helpful to look, how can I put this? I like to think in pictures. If you go to a financial planner or if you're looking at all the financial information on YouTube, usually financial planners will ask you, what would you like your money to do for you in the next 5 to 10, 20 years, right? And so culturally, I think because of fear, right? I like to understand why. I'm so fascinated by what drives human behavior, have been from a child. Why do adults do this? Why would you stick needles in your hand? Why would you smoke something that's going to jack up your skin? And in contrast, I'm so motivated to see if you have children or partners, that's what's not fear-based, but what's going to flip the switch where the person is so motivated that you don't have to tell them to clean their room. You don't have to tell them to get into their movement practice, because we do have switches like that. So that's been a big part of my practice with myself and with clients for decades, is what the light bulbs that go off. I notice light bulbs. I can see it in a person's face when something clicks. And then usually I get phone calls, I get texts, the very thing that people were resistant about, right? Different tools to put in place, and whether those are things to monitor their eating. Most people, for example, totally resist food journals, totally resist the accountability, being accountable to the things that we're putting into our mouths. But I notice there are some clients where something clicks, and just like a really good student, they constantly bring me in their food journal. And so if I look at the people that have had sustainability with their food, where it's a lifestyle and their movement practice, there are distinct, very, very distinct patterns. And a real key clue is how your lifestyle and your way of consumption, how it occurs to you, right? If eating perhaps things that give you lots of adipose tissue and extra waste on your waist, without perhaps considering visceral fat wrapping around your organs, or you may no longer notice how much you're winded because you're carrying maybe perhaps almost an extra person on you. You may be more tuned into the pleasure, right? You may be dressing fabulously, so you may not even notice how your body tempo and your longevity and even your vitality is taxed in your consumption patterns, right? So there's a lot to be said for how even perhaps toxic relating, how it occurs to you, where it may occur to you is so gratifying to get back at someone. I know what that's like, where you feel such a righteous rage and you feel, angered by someone that has violated you, that you may not be privy to, or you may not be aware of the cost to you. You may not be aware of how addictive it is, or you're programming yourself to stay habitually in that state of angeration or triggeration. And you could perhaps lose years off of your life in staying there. You may not even comprehend that being victimized, you could play into being perhaps a victim, if this makes sense. So I'm someone that likes to unpack what is at the root, because whatever could have happened to me, I am ultimately the one that has to live with me, right? And I'm responsible for my life. And I'm also aware of those times where patterns where you can lose motivation. You can lose your motivation very easily and quickly in gossip, or in allowing yourself to be a dumping ground, perhaps if the person that's sharing whatever they're going through is not proactive, or you could be perhaps taking on too much that you may not realize that you're not equipped to take on. I thought that was me. I love being helpful, but you may not realize how you're being affected, right? Or how much of your time or energy, or you could be losing your motivation and allowing yourself to take on everybody's stuff. So healthy boundaries are so important. So there's a way, I love getting to the root of behaviors, right? I like to swipe a lot of stuff off of the table so I can be present and have more fun, right? And enjoy this life cycle instead of having it hijacked by all the different things that are coming at me on the computer. So tools in my toolbox, my movement practice, the garden, and eating beautiful foods, right? And beautiful foods that are not only a party in my mouth, right? Because beautiful food, I do include bitters in that group, right? And so there is a video on this channel about bitters as a food group. My waist beads and things that are, when I look at them, or when my hands touch them, or I feel them on my waist, are very pleasant. They're very pleasant reminders. I like things that kind of like gently tap me on the shoulder and it's like, you know what, wouldn't you like this beautiful glass of ginger turmeric juice? I just made it. Like in a beautiful glass. That's like, wow, that's pretty. Thank you so much. You know, so I'm very intentional about how things are occurring to me, and to make my lifestyle more inviting to me, right? So that's that works for me. So holding on to the damage hair. Boop, boop, boop. You know, how does that feel? We might be scared to lose length, but there's a confidence like, okay, I'm not holding on to something damaged. You know, and if I am I doing it in other areas of my life? Am I holding on to something out of a sense of obligation or lack? I won't have more hair, or it took me so long to get my hair to this length. You know, I challenge those things within myself more so than from watching people on social media, right? Again, I don't live with you. We have the benefit of some kind of communication on social media, but when you're by yourself, oh my gosh, cultivating a relaxation practice and learning to enjoy quiet. I realize that sometimes it becomes addictive to not turn off. Like I've heard one term called FOMO, fear of missing out. You could become potentially paralyzed through this social media and out of fear. And you become so paralyzed at looking at the manosphere, or the level up the sphere, or the get more product sphere. I need more makeup palette. You could become paralyzed to what your original thoughts and creativity are. I do not take for granted human programming and addiction. I think that would be a grave error, but that's just mine. Enjoy the journey. Oh, definitely. So cultivating craving for quiet. Oh my gosh. I don't know if there are enough words to say. One of the styles of yoga that I have embraced over the years, and I've done different styles of yoga in my practices, Ashtanga yoga, and I have my own personal practice, which is what I wanted. For years, I know I've never wanted to be dependent on a gym, and I do value teachers, and I've always invested. For years, I've figured out investing in really good coaches and teachers that are a perfect match for me. Best investment ever. So I've got I have the most beautiful, exquisite, different teachers that are very passionate about their craft. They're the type of people that will go to India every single year for their personal practice. I love people that are going to give 110% because that's what they want to do. So I'm guaranteed to get more, out of them. So in Ashtanga, and that practice is not fancy. It's not a whole bunch. There's no music. It's not a bunch of talking. It's just you, and it's quiet. And so that practice has carried over into the different other things that I do. Like there's such a sense of peace and quiet from that practice. And I've noticed over the years, I remember there were times I'll be training clients, and after I would train my clients, I'm a very early bird. If you see on this channel, I'm the early circle. I'm the early riser circle. I'm with the early riser circle. And so by the time I get to my practice, which would my yoga practice, which would be in the middle of the day, and sometimes I usually have clients like at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's a couple of times 4:30 in the morning. So there are times where I've gotten up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do my practice, right? Because it's a practice to be done consistently. And most people do not like this practice because it's not fancy. It's the same poses over and over and over again. So it might become boring for folks. However, without not being spookajuke in the most practical sense, the type of awareness that you develop in quiet is indescribable. I think I felt more relaxation in a quiet practice than I have felt during sleep. And that is very, very distinct. I've had people, recommend Reiki to me and other practices that to me, I don't get it. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't even appeal to me. But very, very distinct. I'm not somebody going to say a product works if it doesn't work. If it ain't working for me, I'm not interested. But the deep relaxation and awareness from the inside it stands out very sharply in my memory. And so having that experience is one thing to read about other people's experiences, but to have that experience for myself, it's a peace and a quiet that almost brings me to tears. And interesting, the first time when I was looking for a teacher and looking for a practice, because usually people in this particular practice, they're very early risers. It's a very regimented practice. And the practice done usually at the same time every day in the early hours. And usually the teacher does their practice before the student. So it's very regimented. There are many Ashtangis that change their lifestyle for Ashtanga yoga. So, so go figure. So anyhow, in this practice, there are so many subtleties that you start to notice. So I have this thing I call a healthy curiosity, right? I would start to have a healthy curiosity where I would notice that my body was more flexible when I wasn't stuffed with food. Now, the instruction for everyone in yoga is do not stuff yourself full of food when you come to the class. But you know how we hard-headed. You know how we think, they're not talking to me. They ain't talking to me. I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway. But I noticed that a lot of times I would suffer in my practice. Like I feel like I'm regurgitating food because my food is undigested. So after having that experience enough times, I decided to follow the instruction and see what would happen if I'm not full of food. And I would notice my practice was totally different. I noticed that my body was more flexible. I noticed at the end of the practice, I felt such a relaxation. A lot of times I would hover between, and when you go to Shavasana or rest pose, some people call it corpse pose, and everybody's mowing their lawn now. I would notice that I would be in a state right before sleep, but relaxation. A lot of times the yoga teacher would leave me there. Sometimes I would go into sleep. I would travel way across town on my bicycle in the heat to this small little yoga studio because I wasn't getting that experience of deep rest and relaxation anywhere. So that has put a little mark in my brain in terms of a healthy curiosity, not just a curiosity, but having a direct experience of what's on the other side. So the different things that we do will carry, I found, right, will carry over into the other areas of your life. Similar to if you're taking martial arts and you're getting certain types of discipline there. If you have discipline or if you're experiencing the benefit of not giving into quick, immediate gratification, that kind of awareness will carry over into other areas of your life. So I have found even sitting with my hair and the relaxation carries over into other areas of my life where I don't have to be triggered by comparing myself to everyone's contouring, which, by the way, some of it looks a bit much and some of it actually looks beautiful. But I don't have to keep shifting and altering myself. It almost feels like a disease sometimes. Or I don't know, maybe disease is a strong word, but there's a state of triggeration that comes, I notice, and constantly the automatic pilot of comparing yourself to other people on social media. And I think it can be very mentally destabilizing. So in contrast, relaxing into all of this fuzz and not saying anyone do something, but I just find like I like my eyebrows and I like my skin. And so into sitting with my skin as someone that's had a lot of acne and dark marks, the listening to the dialogue of condemnation or embarrassment, embarrassed to who, to what? But we know we are judged in society, popular society, based on your looks. Interesting, folks will totally overlook your character for looks. It is what it is. So to sit in that for yourself, I think it takes an awareness and a courage, having courage for yourself to sit on your square. And then also the enjoyment in that is finding what I would call your sweet spot, finding your pattern of eating that works for you, where you still feel light in your body and not overstuffed, where you just feel relaxed in your skin, where you feel healthy, where you feel, I like to feel like I can breathe. I don't like too much constricting clothes or makeup. I like to feel like I can breathe, and too tight hairstyles, like it's 20 layers of irritation. So you have in the morning is motivation. Now I'm up at 5 a.m. I feel like I have a whole day to myself before my family. Hello. It's been a lifesaver. I'm finding out. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Lorraine. Freedom, freedom, live. You're finding out new things about yourself. So interesting. I would call it, I would say it's a, excuse me, get some water in a wine glass. I would say there's, it's a different channel, right? When I would have clients like, how do you get up so early? Or why are you so motivated? And a lot of times I would say for years, I had a house party, a private dance party. I made it a point to have a dance party with myself, some beautifully packed food, and my house is clean and smelling good, way before I interact with my offspring, children, or with clients. So I'm in such a hype mood, or even doing cardio or my movement practice right before our clients. I'm on such a high. I literally feel like, why the heck would I put coffee in my body? I feel like I'm busting out of my skin, like with energy, with joy. I'm feeling powerful because I've moved my body in a very powerful way. So that's why I'm like a personal movement practice that you can cultivate. It doesn't have to be Ashtanga yoga. You can have a touch of yoga in here. You can have a touch of your own version of Alvin Ailey with your modern dance. Capoeira is one of my absolute favorite booze when it comes to movement practice. So there's so many different things that I like when it comes to movement. It's like getting on the rides at the amusement park. So I have so many things that I'm looking forward to. I have so many different things that I love to eat that I'm looking forward, right? I like to say if I have so many treats, there's no reason to cheat. And also, I stay in the conversation. I'm very cognizant of staying in the conversation, right? Of keeping company, who I keep in my own company, things that keep me motivated. And I also am cognizant and pay attention to if it's an argument or disagreement or relating patterns that trigger me, or different things coming at me through the screen. You can lose your motivation like that. So it can be kind of scary to think, oh my gosh, when you get into a holding pattern. But I like to ask everything a question. I invite you today to ask your stuck moments, ask your addictions, ask your fixations on people or substances outside of yourself. I invite you to ask them questions. It's a different channel. Things will start to encourage you, because if you can be stuck and no new information is coming through. You may be communicating with people while you love them, and you may be familiar. The pattern with you and them is the same, but you're not likely to break those patterns unless you have a new perspective and you have like a new little carrot. And so the curiosity is your carrot, right? To ask your anger, ask your fixation on eating 4 servings of chips. Ask questions on your unwillingness to be accountable to what you're eating. Ask it questions. And you're more likely, if you ask quality questions, you're more likely to come out with some different information that can really serve you and get you excited. Like when you get excited, right? There's a point where you get excited, like if you get a new coach, nothing like a new coach to get you excited. And sometimes a new coach and a new experience can be more enticing, just as, if not more enticing to me than a new outfit, right? And for many women, we get a new fitness outfit, we buy ourselves new clothes, right? But that's kind of limited. I get that. That's enjoyable. That's kind of limited. I've done it. How much more new clothes? I can't maintain more clothes. The new experience is what I'm looking for. A new trajectory, right? So that usually means something, the blind spot. I usually ask myself for years, like, what is there that I'm missing? Is there something that I'm not aware of? If there's something I'm not aware of. So in my working with different types of coaches, you know, whether it's Ashtanga yoga, my coach Kurt, one of my favorite coaches on the planet, Coach Kurt Joseph. I love that coach. I would marry that coach. He's such a phenomenal person. He's like a walking PhD, physical therapist, personal trainer, basketball coach, strength coach, all in one. And he's so passionate about worth every dollar and more. I absolutely adore human beings like that. So I've had like a whole roster of coaches who are committed to excellence, not for other people, and even beyond the money, for themselves. They invest in themselves. So I'm having a different experience because I'm surrounding myself with those kinds of people. Is this making sense? So that's a consumption pattern. So I can notice a distinct difference when I'm around other types of conversations that are not feeding. Like I have a hunger for that kind of interaction and to be learning new things. You know, it's a different channel. That's the best way that I can describe it. So greetings, Lauren, Rosetta, and Freedom Lives, and Lorraine, and Cosmic Chlorophyll. And Devin, I'm sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. So the waist beads that I'm making, I'm so in love with these waist beads. Like artists, when you create things, you don't want to let them go. But a lot of whites and pinks and greens and stones for an awareness in what I would call, you know, because most women, I hear a lot of times women, we have a social habit of insulting ourselves. So rather than make right or wrong, I ask you to what? Ask the way that you communicate to yourself. Ask it a question. Why do you notice, am I putting myself down or am I making light of myself? We see it a lot in Afro comedy, right? It's habitual that a lot of our comedy and entertainment jokes around our pain, right? A lot of our psychological, emotional pain, like teasing. I don't know about you, but we know that teasing really actually traumatizes a lot of young people. And we carry a lot of that teasing, whether it's from siblings or teachers and other. We carry that into adulthood. Again, a lot of that stuff gets deposited into our subconscious and then drives a lot of our behaviors. It shows up in a lot of our eating and a lot of our stagnation around movement. So I invite you to ask it some questions. Ask your motivation questions. This occurs on a different channel that I think can be very beneficial in getting you into action around the things that you say you value, right? You may say that you value health or you value beauty, but only you know in your quiet moments, right? So no condemnation, no judgment here. If I invite you to ask yourself, are you in consistent action around health? Are you you want a beautiful or a toned body that can perform in an emergency from an attacker, but also to be able to play, right? And to be able to be around on this planet, right? A lot of the science is out there. If you want a body that can be vibrant and be able to be breathing and respirating into your 50s, your 60s, and 70s, if you're not making distinct deposits in your 401k, and if you're carrying a lot of waste product around on your body, then why? That doesn't make sense. That's a disassociation, right? And a lot of times we give each other a high five. We give each other a high five on socially, and just, you don't have to agree, just my observation, slow, socially acceptable suicide with our habits. Even sometimes going to baby showers and different events sometimes can become glutton fest. We're eating way more than we need. And many of our livers are highly taxed, right? Our liver filters out a lot of the poisons. And we're totally disrespecting the liver and the spleen and the uterus. Being very indiscriminate about who we give access to our reproductive organs. A lot of the music lulls us to sleep. That make us think we're so sexy and sensual as we're opening up our sacred reproductive organs to folks that haven't demonstrated care or responsibility. That doesn't make much sense to me, but just call me simple. A lot of things don't occur to me in the same way. It's not about being a goody two-shoes. It's just like, I don't care for sufferation. I've had my share of making decisions out of desperation and fear. And there's nothing like hard-earned life wisdom. It's not everything we have to create so much damage to ourselves or create choices that we can't take back in now, right? Following everybody else on social media or following our peers or people who haven't been vetted properly. So how's all this connected to locks, right? I take a lot of, for me, you'll find what your journey is, I take a lot of distraction off of the table, right? Being able to slowly relax, to tune into your own anxieties, into your fears, which it is very easy to project onto each other, onto social media. We're typing away, arguing with strangers, and having psychological, mental, emotional fist fights with avatars and people you don't know, a cartoon character, nameless people. It's a tremendous waste of energy when you could be at the park, you could be planting something in your garden that can give you so much, oh my gosh, it can give you so much satisfaction and so much peace. We kind of missing out and allowing, perhaps in ignorance, allowing a lot of the joy to be usurped or to be hijacked. So I just make an effort in my own little corner of the universe to press pause and ask some questions, because I like feeling good. I like joy. I like peace. I like feeling free in my body. By contrast, I know what it's like to feel stuffed to the point of discomfort. I'm aware that many of us are eating ourselves to the point of deformity and morbid obesity, and the comorbidities and the diseases that go with that. Those patterns, right? Rather than making that the people, those patterns run heavy in my community and my cultural pattern, right? Due to a lot of trauma. So my eye is always peeled as to the why, and then my eyes is also peeled for the experiences, not just the rhetoric. The experiences, why I have an experience that feels in total contrast. So, like, for example, the peace that I feel in my yoga, so-called yoga, my flow, my movement practice, the type of athleticism that I feel and things that I can do by myself that make me feel powerful. They're in such contrast to feeling stuck and stuffed. I prefer the latter, but I also don't take for granted that the psyche, right, can be hijacked, right? That focus can be hijacked by my interactions with people, as well as what I'm tuning into on social media. Fighting Sims characters. I only became recently aware of what Sims are. There's the video games have gone to some other place, but I actually have seen some people do some creative things that I think are kind of positive in terms of doing some architecture for their house with Sims characters and I don't know, kind of I call it vision boarding. Like, I have recently gotten into TikTok. I actually use TikTok to vision board, right? Which is and it's not so long. It's they're very short videos, but I've actually found capturing different things to be very useful and using my imagination instead of just having my imagination hijacked by narratives that have been pre-written for me, right? And being curious about the messages, right? Even though somebody's selling me something with smiling faces, I'm more sensitive and aware that insecurity or that I'm not enough is also what's being sold to me in the packaging. For example, several folks have recommended some items to me for fast growth. And I realized I'm not concerned about fast growth. And for me, what it felt like, I don't know if that was a person's intention, but what it felt like to me was like, you should get this product because of the fast growth. So again, this is a good example of what I mean by listening. What that felt like to me was like anxiety or are you concerned with fast growth? No, I'm not concerned with fast growth because the rate at which my hair grows, the rate at which it grows and what it looks like. If it's shrinkage, all of that, that's not on my radar. So I'm intentional around having healthy boundaries around my psyche. I don't think we realize how much we are, again, affected and bathing in the sea of social media at all of these products that many of them have at the undercurrent, and me having to constantly slick something down and constantly change myself. How can I be comfortable with myself? At the same time, I do get there may be a time where I might want to play and make up from the perspective of goddess and playing and expressing. But to make myself look like something else because I'm not good enough, that doesn't even feel right in my gut. It just, in so many ways, I can even listen subtly to the language and the dialogue that comes up around that. I have to put a mask on, like I'm the elephant man or something. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm very intentional around those healthy boundaries. So anyway, I just wanted to come on and to touch base and to share. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, you can find me on Kwasa with a K, Kwasa Peaceful, like a full belly, Peaceful Eating on TikTok, my little vision board things there, because I like to feel good. Body-Culinary on most social media, on Instagram. I post from time to time in the community section. If you'd like to see what my face was looking like before, not being accountable, and as a peaceful eating vegetarian with all the acne, that if you scroll down, you can see what that looks like in the community section. So I do want to share with folks that cleared up with just food and my lifestyle, not the pills, the powders. A lot of money went in the garbage. I don't think it has to take you 30, 40 years to eat healthy or to find your sweet spot, whether that is so-called raw vegan. And I'm a little wary of taking on the labels as the identity of who I am. If I'm eating whole living foods, that's something that I do. That's not all of who I am. If I felt that I was going to eat meat, if that worked for me, that's what I would do. It just doesn't appeal to me. I'm a professional chef. I've done that. That's not something that resonates with me. So again, even there, I invite you to ask yourself in your quiet moment questions about your consumption patterns. So violence doesn't, unless it's self-defense, doesn't appeal to me. So the more I educate myself about different things over the years, like over 30 years of research, those are why I choose not to consume certain things that might be technically delicious, but I have educated myself to a point where certain things don't occur to me as food anymore. So that to me is bigger than just the label. The labels can have a tendency to make us ego trip off of, I'm just a label, I'm this vegan, vegetarian, raw foodist. It doesn't say, it doesn't tell us about all of who we are. And I don't know, it's a climate of being very divisive, right? Somebody that could be 500 pounds or 400 pounds with from a total another walk of life in a different package can give me some information. I know recently I've been seeing some women who are actually, some people would call them another word, but very, very big, like very, very big. Might be unhealthy, but when I tell you, like, they look absolutely stunning, there's an energy that they have in their acceptance. So I think there's a distinction between being complacent with ill health and just embracing all of who you are. I actually have been finding a lot of inspiration in the energetics of women embracing who they are and not waiting for someone to ask them to dance, not waiting to wear the outfits that they want to, where I actually am finding it very inspirational. And as somebody that's competed in fitness and I love muscle and flexibility, I have to tell you that I think that these women, their energy is so extremely attractive. I find it very, very inspirational. But that's just one woman's perspective. Just one woman's perspective. So I invite you to check me out on social media, on Kwasa Peaceful Eating, my Etsy shop if you'd like to see my calorie amulets and Afro amulets that are hand carved. And that's on Kwasa Peaceful Eating. I have my kente, my African print bicycle covers, as well as plant milk bags over on the Etsy shop. And also the classes, Common Sense Nutrition. These are lunchtime classes. Common Sense Nutrition and Efficient Fitness, right? You may be wondering why I'm not getting the results, but I'm putting in all this time. So more than likely, you can reverse engineer to see exactly where you're not being consistent, or your form is not on point, or you may not be measuring how much output you have, how much fuel you're burning. You may not realize how many calories you're taking in. If you're somebody that's plant-based, you may not realize how much calcium, or if you're a mom, if you're getting sufficient calcium or protein in. So lunchtime classes are efficient fitness and common sense nutrition. And in the morning, the workout, my traditional workout for all those women that are working out with me for months in a movement practice is Hit It and Quit It, right? So Afro, Flower, Fit. There's a little jazz in there, little Afro beat. Sometimes there's no music, but it's a lot of fun. And we go over all different types of movement patterns. You usually be dripping in sweat. You don't need hours. You just need consistency. So that's Monday through Thursday, so that you have some support. Many people, I think, would change their lifestyle if they had positive accountability and positive company, right, and community to do those things with. So that's very Hit It and Quit It, and that's Mondays through Thursdays. So if you need to reach out, in the beginning of this live, the information on how to reach me, info@body-culinary.com is there, and you can also visit the website. So that being said, I invite you to create a great day on purpose, to perhaps slow down and ask questions of how you're feeling, whether that's your anger or if you're eating, several servings, to slow down in a very practical sense and be aware, and to ask yourself questions, right? If you're really looking to cultivate, right, and refine your lifestyle, which is inclusive of your movement practice, eating your beautiful foods, as well as nurturing a garden. All right, y'all. See you soon. Subscribe to the channel and feel free. It'd be appreciated to support the channel.